What is Hypercycle? Hypercycle enables AI systems to communicate and collaborate efficiently. Currently, this process is slow and costly. Hypercycle improves this by offering a secure global connection system with verifiable identities without depending on centralized parties. It provides a safe platform for AI to interact directly without intermediaries. For more information, go to hypercycle.ai.
And with that, we are back for This Week in Hypercycle. I am Nick. This is Tufi Saliba. And you are, where are you? You're in North America.
I'm actually, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so I'm in the operation room, as you can see. This is
of course.
This is the Hypercycle operation room, as it comes nicely together, and some of clients of our clients start collaborating and working with them to enable literally kids to start like actually installing these things and managing them or whatnot, because I feel like there's a lot of education that is happening around the world that is so fascinating about the younger, the youth, that can get them towards jobs that they matter in the future, that they're a little bit out of school. And I feel like if I can do my little bit in that while we're doing this thing, it could be fascinating, because it's like, and I feel that there's a demand, Nick. There's a demand, because there's like, I mean, think about it. There's like our second batch with these guys. We have like over 50,000 of them coming out in the market, right? And if you think about the vast majority of people that they want to manage those, they don't necessarily know that, for example, their internet is slowed down, or it's not really getting enough heartbeat, not doing enough computation. And however, when you talk to like a 12-year-old who knows how to do like an SSH to a machine and build an actual notification that sends them SMS to send them like a message telling them that like machine 528 is not doing very well, then they're able to forward that message to whoever is running it, or telling them, hey, you may want to check what's wrong with your internet, or something like that. So it's just something that if somebody wants to do this, and if this machine is making you, let's say, $200 a month, and some kid would send you messages showing you how it can make you 250, and that kid will then charge you $10 a month. I think you probably pay for it, and that kid would be happy.
If I made $200 a month as a kid by plugging things in, that's all I would do, is go around and find empty light sockets and internet and just plug stuff in.
Right. Yeah, but like, no, but I'm really seeing it's like from those that they're installing into their homes, basements, whatnot, the vast majority of people, they don't necessarily have the ability to optimize this thing. And if they were to outsource for $10 a month some stuff in it that can increase the amount of like revenue this thing generates, chances are they would go for it. And many of my friends, they happen to be doing things that they can help a lot of youth into a lot of education. One of them, he's got like 700 children signed up to his program. Other one has got his wife. She's heading one of the largest organizations in the world towards like the youth, which you know very well. Alexandre's wife she's the president of YMCA Global. So before we get to these guys, perhaps like the smaller groups of 750 in here and there, if they start doing cool things, I feel like I feel good about it, because I feel like they're partaking in managing AI or AI machines or whatnot, which is likely to be, not necessarily likely. I think it's a necessity. Is going to be that in the future. If you don't know how to manage AI, in 10 years, if you don't know how to manage AI agents, you're probably not going to have a job.
Well, you may not have a job anyway, but you'll either not have a job and be benefiting from AI, or not have a job and have been obsoleted by AI. So you won't have a, it's like everybody will participate whether they want to or not. Everybody will be put in.
Right.
Where you're being pushed by a wave of new technology and obsoleted, or whether you're part of the wave.
Absolutely. You got it. Yeah. And I think enabling the youth to learn these things, whether objectively speaking, I always try to make it seem that although I am convinced with 100% certainty the future that you've outlined is coming, whether they like it or not. But objectively speaking, if I were to speak in an environment that they are not going to be convinced that that is the future, I'm still able to tell them whether I'm right or wrong. This is still going to be good for the youth to learn those things, because they're going to have jobs somehow, as opposed to learning skills that they teach them in schools that already any AI agent can do those skills, these things better than them. So it's like, so it's I think it's yeah. So that's when you ask where I am, that's what I thought, that I kind of make them look cool as well while I'm here, and it would be nice to partake in this.
So with this week in Hypercycle, this particular week, you and I talked yesterday, and we thought, and you specifically thought, there's a lot of questions in the community about what's coming. Compute is on the very close horizon, and a lot of people are asking questions. So you wanted to break some of those things down for people.
Yes.
What do we got?
So many people, they're asking questions of how our clients, when they're deploying, like most people in the community, they already understand the value proposition of Hypercycle, and that's why they're pretty much like part of it. But they want to know the actual details of how that crawling is happening on a client side. And when they ask those questions, and we talk to some of our clients. Now, we cannot ask any client how what you're doing with your business, but one of them, which you all know, we're trying to invest in the entire 45% of, which is the HyperPG. We've got huge visibility. We've provided many of our engineers, so we've got a lot of information there, and we know with 100% certainty that if we share this information, it's not going to hurt HyperPG. If anything, is going to enable many to do things in a similar way, or maybe better. And the reason why it's not going to hurt HyperPG, because we're swimming or we're fishing in this ocean of like AI computation. And if their HyperPG is like, let's say, on the Atlantic Ocean in Brazil, and someone learns the same methods from them and they want to do it in Portugal, what's the likelihood that they're going to go after the same fish? And it's like next to nothing, right? So it's like that. There's so many AI running that they would need what HyperPG provides immediately today, and that's what I'm going to talk about, because I feel like that's a very good. It's basically guaranteed savings. So if you're running an AI company today, and you're spending, let's say, $100,000 plus, and we can talk about why that number. If somebody comes to you and says, guaranteed savings, not a maybe, guaranteed 20% this year, that scales up to 40% next year, and it's effectively they're giving you a rebate on your thing, chances are you're going to say yes to it. There's always the exception that you're not going to say yes to it if your client is like the Department of Defense, you're running AI compute, and then you have like a lot of restrictions, and then you cannot give any of this stuff, which at that point you could become a beneficiary from having your AI to be like on the learning side, but we can talk about this later. But right now, for this product, that HyperPG has been leveraging. I'm going to walk through it. And we started working on a document. Perhaps think I can share my screen quick here. So
Yeah.
quick. Okay. So full disclosure here, this document that I'm going to share is not fully baked yet. Okay, so it's still a draft.
We're just checking the temperature.
Right, and you can see, you will be able to see some of the comments that some of the team members started putting on it or whatnot. You can see that?
We can see it.
All right. So, when this document, can you see this as well, the hyperpool, when I change or no? You cannot. You just see
I can see the guaranteed savings as a sure segue.
Okay. So this document is in the making, and it's effectively what they built that product around Hypercycle. The reason for that is because that's what customers care about right now, today, as opposed to telling people about the grand vision of Hypercycle, which people that are running AI compute today, they don't necessarily have the bandwidth to understand. Not everybody is like a visionary, get to see that. They're just like, an example that we gave before, which I will give it again today. If you're running an AI compute to provide your customers with OCR, optical character recognition. So let's say your customer comes in and says like, Nick, I'm going to send you 10 million invoices per month from, it's a shipping company. And a shipping company, 10 million invoices is not a lot. And you run it through your AI, you read them and send it to them. And you have a phenomenal accuracy rate. To say it's like 83% or something like that, which is 3% higher than Microsoft and Google, but whatever. Point is, you're running this AI somewhere. Whatever you're running it, chances are you're paying. So this customer pays you, let's say, $800,000 a month, which is pretty much reasonable for that amount. You have a lot of costs. One of your major costs is about $200,000 a month in running AI compute, or $100,000. Okay, if you're spending that $100,000 a month, and somebody comes in and says, "I'm going to reduce that to $60,000," and your ability to scale accordingly, and in the future enable you to increase your accuracy as well, which we can talk about it later. But right now, immediately, we can reduce your cost, then you're going to say, yeah, let's do it. So how do they do it, and why do they do it? The first reason of why they do it is that because they want to reap the benefits from your AI using the hypercycle computation node. So if we remember those 5 beneficiaries, right? You recall those?
Yes, sir.
All right. So someone like HyperPG, they have the HYPC because they borrowed it from left and right and bought some and all of this. They have the software owners, so that they've whether they bought the software themselves, or whether they borrowed or they're about to borrow, which is, for many that in the community, they know that the marriage of those two is called a hyper share, because it enables the rev share or whatnot. They have secured over 5,000 H100 through partnership for the hardware, and chances are they're able to scale this a lot higher than that. For those that they know, AI 5,000 H100 is a huge number. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's not a Facebook. It's not a, what do you call it, Meta now, but it's still big. And they, of course, have the facility and the hardware. They kind of like come in hand nowadays, because whoever is getting that hardware, they're putting it in a facility where they have like energy, space, fast internet connection, so on and so forth. What are they missing? They're missing AI royalties. Like, where did they bring AI? Which AI? Like, how are they going to make money? Just like running these things and just. So imagine they come to you and they can say like, hey, you're running this OCR, optical character recognition. You spend $100,000 a month. Chances are you're not going to move from wherever you are to anywhere else.
Because I'm comfortable. I'm already embedded. Yep.
You're ready with AWS. You're happy with them. And many data centers, they're pretty much come and knock on your door every day, say, move to my data center is better than AWS. And then you contact your CTO and tell them, like, can you look into it? The CTO will have like one phenomenal engineer who would look into it. And almost every single time you have a reason why you don't want to move. Even if they provide you with all the securities and everything else, would be like, but there's something missing. And that's why AWS, you end up staying with AWS. And even if nothing is missing, here's the cool thing. If nothing is missing, the reason why you're still stuck with AWS, because they got you on a contract for, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, and that you still have 18 months, that the penalty is so big to break out of that contract, okay? So that's the reality of folks that are running AI compute. Chances are, if HyperPG is going to come and approach Nick and say, like, you got to move, the same thing is going to happen. Nick's going to be like, I don't have the time to talk to you about moving right now. We're not going to move. But if somebody comes in and says, like, you can stay where you are, and I'm going to give you 20 to 40% savings, then you're probably listening a lot more, right? And effectively, that's what they do. And you'd be like, well, why are you giving me $40,000? Well, you'd be like, well, you have all of those modules, or you want to call them like AI services, that they're part of that huge AI engine that you're running that has the OCR. Each and every one of those is doing some sort of computation. So one of them, let's say, I use that example as let's reading Korean. You see the Korean flag here,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, if this is one out of like few hundred module into your engine, or call it AI services, this is capable of reading Korean really well. When you send it PDF, it sends you like a JSON, okay? Or you send it to JPEG and then sends you JSON. But currently, it's confined within your software. But if this is available in the Internet of AI, chances are somebody in, somewhere else in the world, they might use it to read Korean. And are they going to compete with you? Well, come on. I mean, the likelihood for them to be doing invoice processing for shipping company and go and call your customers and say, come to us because now we have the Korean, is very, 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 very low. But if that is available on the Internet of AI, every time somebody is going to utilize it, who makes the money? Not you anymore, HyperPG. Okay? So do they run it on your computers? And the answer is no, not at all. Of course not. Otherwise, your bill is going to go up. No way. So the way they do it here in this document, which when it's finished, I'm happy to share with you, and it's still basically a draft, which describes like how they actually, the deployers, we were calling them, and the reason why we gave them a different name than a customer of ours, because the deployer doesn't necessarily have to be the client. It could be someone else. The deployer could be somebody that comes in and use the client's things because they want to be the beneficiaries of all five, let's say. Okay, so if in some cases they are also the client, then that's great. And here's what they do. They come in, they say, hey, HyperPG, we're gonna pay you 10% upfront for all of like those tokens, 15% of the cost of the software, 5%, whatever that amount is, whatever they agree with. They give them that money in advance. They take $80 million worth of HYPC, whatnot, and they go and start deploying one client at a time, because what they're offering these clients is that 20% savings, let's say, or 40%. So now, but by doing that, they have all five. So the way they calculate, let's say, somebody who spends $100,000 in AI compute, the likelihood for that one to be making some money out of this is very high. Otherwise, why would they be spending $100,000 a month? Like, they're not doing it for shits and giggles. They really care about that AI. In this example that we said that Nick is running an OCR, he receives $800,000 a month. Okay, he's got, of course, many other costs, but that $100,000 bill is being reduced. That's fantastic. And now HyperPG has those components available in the Internet of AI because HyperPG believes that within 6 to 8 months from the time it deployed that, it will be making about $400,000 in the Internet of AI from your software on average. So now, if we were to run the math, okay, well, if they're paying $100,000 to source the HYPC per month, let's say, they're paying $20,000 to source the software because they don't want to buy software. They're borrowing a bunch of, and then they're paying $40,000 for the AI royalties. Remember how we said it starts with $20,000, it goes back up to $40,000 in a year. So that's their cost to get these things. Then they have to pay extra to get like the hardware facility. So let's say the hardware facility is going to cost them as much as it's costing you, let's say, somewhere else. Let's say that that's the case. Let's say they're doing it also on AWS next to you, and they're spending $100,000. You add them all together, and if their calculation works really well, that's the average, is going to make the $400,000 a month. Well, that's a very good business, right? They're spending $200,000 every month, getting $400,000, and chances are, the more they grow, the more they spend, the more they're going to grow, because the more they're going to get.
It's just economy of scale at that point.
Right. Now, somebody might say, but what if they don't get enough demand into this thing? Okay, yeah, it's a very valid question. They may not get enough, so they might lose. Like any business, you might lose. But what's the likelihood that they are going to get the demand? It seems to be very, very high. That their average turns out to be $400,000 a month when they spend $40,000 on reducing your bill. Now, remember, Nick, they have a lot of other costs to make that money. So it's not like they're not chipping you here. You receive your $40,000, you're happy. The HYPC holder is receiving $100,000, they're happy. Software owner receives, everybody's happy in this equation. And the one who's getting that demand from them is extremely happy because their AI is getting more intelligent, better, faster, and so on and so forth. And if you follow it through all the way to the end, and you can see where the value comes from, because the guy who couldn't read Korean in his software and now is able to read Korean, what's in it for that? So quickly in this OCR, if your accuracy is 83%, let's say the other guy's accuracy was, let's say, 75%, and we're talking about 10 million documents, to say here, and you have about difference of about 800,000 documents, but that's not how it works precisely. You're just providing them with like a bunch of components that could increase their accuracy to, let's say, 90%, could increase it to 86%. If it's not increasing it, they're not gonna utilize any of your stuff. Eventually, they will walk away. But the likelihood for that to increase it due to emergence is close to 1. When I say likelihood, that's like almost like 99.9999%. When I say that, this is like you can bring any AI scientist into a room and show them that emergence, and nobody's going to be like, oh, there's no way that it's going to increase. It will increase. Now, by how much? I don't know. I'm talking about the increase is almost certain that there will be an increase in accuracy. So that's pretty cool, right? Because now if someone who's doing also OCR, you help them increase their accuracy. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, by only 8%, that means 800,000 documents now they're able to read per month that they couldn't read before. Their customer that used to pay them, let's say, $750,000 a month. Now they pay them $830,000 a month, assuming that the customer is reading paying just for like the accuracy of the documents that they're able to read. So that is a new value added to that customer, because that customer is able to read those invoices more. They couldn't read them before. Many people, they say, but how do they do it now? Well, the way they do it now, they're delayed. They're delayed because they have to take those documents they couldn't read, send them to some human, pay the human a lot of money to read documents, and that's not a good life for those humans. Let me tell
you. That's right. The mechanical Turk whole thing is.
Oh my God! People, they say it's like, oh, but they're eliminating jobs. Believe me, you don't want that cruelty on those people. They're spending 12 hours.
That's the good creative destruction.
Right, right. So instead, those people, they could be doing some other jobs, and then that AI is reducing that suffering of those poor people. Truly, I say truly, and they can be free to go and do some other kind of things. And at the same time, the speeding is huge value to this planet. Like, instead of waiting 3-4 months to get those invoices read, you can do, like, you can get them done like right away. And sometimes reading them right away can change a lot of people's lives. Sometimes those invoices, they're stuck, that they're not being processed unless it's actually verified by that, because you have people, they're reading them, and you're doing the reason why they hired you to begin with, because they want to comply with some audit or whatnot. They're going to do cross-matching. They're going to do all kind of stuff.
Well, so imagine reading medical data in real time in an emergency situation in another language.
Right, right. So yeah, exactly. So there's so many cool things that like this AI will add into the equation, and I really think that this is where the net value, where it comes from, and the reason why I would like. And I thank you for focusing this. I asked you, I think yesterday or the day before, if we can focus this week on Hypercycle on this. And I'm glad we did that, because that question is very valid to many. But in the same time, I want to go through some details, because sometimes people, they miss some of the details. They think it's just it's an easy thing or whatnot. It's not. Everything is hard, but the results are really good. If somebody wants to be a deployer, Nick, how do they become deployer? They just like raise a flag, they're saying I'm deployer. Well, it's actually very hard work to be a deployer. A deployer, not only that you're going to work with the customers that they're running currently OCR and try to implement it there and get it going as fast as possible. You're also losing a lot of money if you don't. How? Remember, those deployers, they already spent 10%. You remember when people that they've partaken in EDP? Where's that coming from? Like, these guys, they're not sitting and saying, like, well, we can pay that, and then someday in the future, undetermined, we'll make money. They want this to be plugged in as quickly as possible. They want the tilling more than anybody. They want this AI compute to start really getting there and start getting the money. When I say they want to make $400,000 a month, they really want to do that, because otherwise it's going to be a loss, right? And if they are at loss, does that mean that our clients are at loss? Well, the answer is like no, because like those are different deployers. They can have different deployers in the future, but that's not a good business. We all want those deployers to actually make shitloads of money, because they're gonna come back for more, and their clients that are running OCR. And here's the cool thing, Nick. Their clients, I stated it here, they aren't obliged to basically stick with that for life. They can decide to. So if you're running OCR and you notice somebody's going to start reaping the benefits from your OCR, does that mean they restrict you from doing what they're doing? The answer is no. If you find out that it works very well for them, you can start doing it too. And if you start doing it too, you just buy a Hypercycle computation node, you buy the tokens, or you borrow them, or whatever you do. Exactly what the deployer is doing. You have to come up with that 10% if you want to borrow them, okay? Or 10% per year, or you have to buy them. But you're not going to do that unless you know that they're making money out of your software. And and that's why we really want these guys to be successful, because again, it's a ripple effect on all of that success. So we don't want to wait too long for that. So now someone might ask a question, but hold on a second. Tufi, you said that they can wait until these guys have done well, then they can go and do it. How is that good for these guys? Well, it's actually still really good for these guys, because these guys are not really taking just one single AI. That's A. There's so many AIs out there that they're gonna make it available. B, and here's the punchline, Nick, that many people in this community, they kind of heard it and they're gonna hear it again now. I'm going to give this time an example of what is this business resemble, and people, they are, when they relate with that example, they're able to understand it. So it might seem that I repeated what I have just said, so I apologize, but please bear with me. Let's say you have a favorite burger place in this world. It's called like Burger King, and you decide to or Shake Shack, right? And you decide to go to the guys that they run that spice room, because there's one room they're making the spices for the entire nation or entire globe or entire continent or whatnot. That spice room is going to cost a lot of money to operate. People that come in, work, electricity, rent, all kind of stuff, right? So let's say that spice room costs $10 million a year, or $1 million a year, whatever that number is. 10 million a year is a very good number. 1 million a year is also a very good number in this content. So you come in and say, like, I'm going to give you $2 million a year, and next year I'll give you $4 million if you let me build a spice room right next to your spice room, and a chef from my side who's going to come in and observe every single thing that you're doing in that spice room without disturbing anybody. Like, come in very nicely, quickly. And why do I do this? Because that spice room that I installed next to yours is going to make exactly your spices and gonna sell it in Walgreens, Save-On, any grocery store in the world. It's gonna sell it to any shawarma place in the world. It's going to sell it to any restaurant in the world. It is, if you want even further assurance that it's not going to sell it to your competitors, more than happy to give you that as and now if you think about that business, how much money would you make if you have that spice room selling in every single, or have the capability to sell in every single grocery store? It takes time to sell them, but you end up, the first month is trying to get to Save-On, second, third. When you get to Save-On, then it's much easier. You tell them, here, I've got Save-On. Can you get to Walgreens? Can you get to, you start getting like one foot at a time, and you've established that relationship. You're selling them spices, right? And then somebody comes into Burger King or to Shake Shack, says like, guys, look how much money these guys are making selling in all those grocery stores. Why don't we do the same? Is there any restriction for us to do the same? No, there's no restriction. It's actually, it might have introduced a new business for Shake Shack that didn't even have the capability to test it out or to try to see if they want to do it. But right now they do. And if they go ahead and start exploring it, by the way, as we're looking at this, I saw Matt coming into this and leaving, and I think probably Matt is online now, so he's probably seeing us. So hello, Matt. Anyway, so we get to this point where you're able to go and start your spice room, and you call it, let's say, the Shake Shack Spice Room, and it's our own, and you can go and sell to any grocery store in the world, and you can even reference that somebody's been selling your spices, and this is they learned it from you, and this is you selling it, no problem. None of that is restricted at all. Even if anything, it's encouraged. Now, if we go back to that question that I asked, but isn't that so bad for HyperPG? Or isn't that so bad for you if you install the spice room next door that now they can do it as well? The answer is like, no, they're going to be, it's not bad. Because even if they want to go and talk to Savon, but Savon's already built the relationship with you. You already have your sales channel going through you, and it's the exact same spices. Remember, that's a guaranteed exact same spices. That's the whole idea of hypercycle computation node, is not taking like a fake copy. No, it is precisely like byte by byte, bit by bit, exactly the same AI. So we basically exactly the same spices. It's not like, oh, we created it first and they copied us. No, there's no copy. It's exactly the same. So when Savon had built that relationship with you and you've already started selling them in Walgreens and 50 other grocery stores around the world, Shake Shack at that point, if they're going to go try to sell them, they're not going to be able to take that away from you. They can go sell to new ones, right? And this thing that you've built that relationship with these guys and already start selling them, this is precisely what Tilling enables today. That capability that you already established, that handshake with so many different AIs out there, the capability that your AI is known to them, the speed of how much that they can reach out to you, the actual, what does it take to do handshake, what does it take to do temporal coupling, what kind of AI you're running, how much reputation have you gained later on, how much computation have you done, what's your proof of uptime, all of these things to AI is similar to that spice room of like, how reliable are you to deliver those spices? How much can you scale? How fast can your delivery truck can show up to their doors? How nice that delivery dude come in and give you the spices and all of these things. And yeah, so that's a metaphor that I thought that I would use here. I hope you can see the resemblance here.
It feels like to me that one of the things that this will create is a way for various AI algorithms and things like that to be utilized to their greatest effect, and essentially onboarded across the long tail of utility. So you find a thing that does this really cool thing, and then you say, we're going to go out and find tons and tons and tons of other customers that can use that thing that you're doing.
You got it.
And everybody benefits.
You got it. And this is when the metaphor for the burger will fail, because there's finite amount of people that they can actually get to your burger and get to your spices. And that finite number, if anything, the more people get into that space, the more they reduce that. The pie is very defined. This is how many people we are. We're not going to eat more burgers than we could. Right. Okay. In the world of AI, it's been for the last 12 years consistently, without fail, the demand has been growing 400% per year. Okay, those aren't my words. I'm quoting Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA. He said it 2 years ago. He said it again a year ago. The way he said it is actually that the supply has been growing 400% per year, and its AI compute demand has been going 400%, not 1200%. So it's 4x per year, and while it's growing, the supply is going 400% per year, but the demand's been exceeding it every single year. So if the demand is higher than that supply, we don't know how much exactly, but we do know that the supply has been growing at 400% per year and demand's been exceeding it. So if you were to do the math on that, that's like in 10 years, it's basically 1 million times. In 11 years, it's 4 million times.
So a pretty good return on investment if you're selling picks and shovels into that.
16 million times, right? And this has been the case for the last 12 years. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. Is there anyone that says that in the next 12 years, it's going to slow down at some point? Is going to be less or is going to be more? What do you think? Even if it is going to be the same, 400% per year, the likelihood for you to sell those spices is only going to be higher by 400% year after year. So it's entering that space from that angle alone is huge. Getting the good AI, or whatever good means, that there's more demand on it to be available for many other AIs is only going to grow even more exponentially, because now it's machines talking to other machines. So it's very hard to imagine how fast that growth is going to happen, because it is exponential.
It's unlikely that we're going to go backwards from here.
Correct. It's kind of like a gravity, like if you actually throw the ball from here to here, as it's falling, it's not actually going at a constant speed. The way it goes from here to here, it's not as fast as from here to here. It keeps accelerating. And that acceleration is 9.8, depending where you live. It could be 9.6 to 10. Anyway, that's the G-force, right? So AI demand has been growing exponentially. So it's not going to be 400% per year. It's going to be higher than 400%. I'm willing to bet my life on it, because it's like it's been consistently going in that direction. It's going to be going higher, and it's not going to slow down. It's going to continue going indefinitely. And I really think that we are extremely excited to enable the remains of Homo sapien to partake in that ownership and creation and all of the cool things to come. So it's very, very hard to predict what the future is going to be like in that exponential things, especially when there's a lot of conversions. And when I say it's very hard, I'm actually being generous to any Homo sapien. If anybody predicts what's going to happen, the likelihood of that person, doesn't matter how smart that person is, and say, oh, well, that's an AI scientist saying this, AI scientist saying that, the likelihood for that person to be wrong is over like 99% of how that AI is going to shape it. But we know certain things with 100% certainty, is that growth has been going for the last 12 years. We know that there is no signs of it to slow down. Those are things we know. And given that, then we should enable those that they care about the future to partake in its creation and partake in its in that innovation and that new economy. So yeah, that's my weekend. This is this week in Hypercycle, and there's of course there's a lot of details that we've been working on that we would love to share in the near future. A lot of new partnerships to announce. Phenomenal partnership. If you see what people are building in AI and what they're coming to us with some partnership, you'd be super amazed. And we're looking forward to share with our community as it gets towards manifestation. But yeah, it's super exciting time.
Well, are you going to be in the? Are you going to Panama?
I don't know for sure yet, Nick, because it's like for me, I am scheduled to be speaking there, and I am speaking in a few other events after that. But there is so much work that we've been doing that every day that when I wake up, I feel like I have to reevaluate things and see like what matter most to Hypercycle. So yeah, so like depending how things manifest themselves tomorrow, I'll be able to know more. But if I do, it would be awesome if we can do this week in Hypercycle, perhaps like from there, which would be like halfway through the week or something, just to kind of give a quick update on how things are going there. I just feel like there's a lot of work that we're actually doing. We don't, many of those like events around, with all the respect to many people, like it's like there are a lot of we've done a lot of talking in the past, right? And we got to this point where we're actually doing things. So people,
It's time to build. Yep.
they're relying on us to do a lot of these things, and we want to do those things. And I'm excited to actually get that word to so many people, whether they're going to be there or in other places. But at the same time, we need to evaluate all the time. See, like, you know, if you tell me like, hey, Tufi, so you're going to Panama, it's amazing, it's great. But at the same time, if you knew that like there's a potential us signing this partnership with one of the largest quantum computing factory in the world, like on the same day that we could be in Panama, but decided to go to Panama because like we need to be in front of people talking. Well, you know, that I think that the quantum computing thing is probably a lot more needed right now than this.
Qubits for me, my friend. Qubits for me.
Right. So I really think that because that's another angle that Hypercycle is going to be introducing to large computer centers, where you're able to utilize the quantum computers they're trying to sell themselves as doing so many different things. But there's a method that using Hypercycle that they can enable a huge computing center to have fascinating security for like the term of the heartbeat. For people that they haven't heard of heartbeat, if they have those things, you know that they're what heartbeat is. Those things, they have like chunks of time, and then every time they have a certain heartbeat, imagine that quantum computer is actually injecting something inside the network packet. So anyway, I'll let you know, and it would be awesome to do this week in Hypercycle, whether it is going to be from a quantum computing facility, whether it is from somewhere else. But it's a lot of exciting stuff happening.
Well, one way or another, we'll get together here in the next couple, 3-4 days. We'll talk about what's going on. There's a lot going on, and I'm excited every day.
Me too.
I love it.
Thanks so much. Take care.
We'll talk soon.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.